Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm looking at a very interesting book which has come to us from Wildy, Simmonds Hill Publishing. The book is called Assets of Community Value with the subtitle Law and Practice, and it's been written by Simon Adamyk. Now this is the book here. It's a hardback blue cover. See the front of it there, there's the spine, and then there's the back of the book, which has got some detail concerning what this book is all about. I'll explain that in a moment. Let's just look at it first of all and see what it's got in it. This is the index at the back, and the index is by paragraph numbering, so you should be able to find things pretty quickly. There's the front of the index. Quite a substantial index, which is very helpful. There are 8 appendices, including forms and various other things. We're looking at these assets of community value, in other words property. There is the front of the book. You can see the basic information there, and there is the basic information about the book itself, available from Wildy. Then there's the outline contents. You can see the contents are set out there. There are 9 chapters and 8 appendices. Then there's a detailed set of contents, so you can find things very quickly, because he's looking really at assets which are in the community, and that of course is, you can see the various chapter headings there. There's a very nice dedication, and then after that you get into a preface. Always read the preface because that sets the theme for the book. Mr. Adamyk is actually a practicing barrister at New Square Chambers in Lincoln's Inn. And this really has arisen, this book, from the implementation of the Localism Act. There is the end of the preface, and then there's a foreword written by George Lawrence, Queen's Counsel, again from Lincoln's Inn. Then there's a table of cases, and a table of statutes, and some SI, statutory instruments, and European material, with that has been creeping in for some time, and I'm sure it will be with us for some time to come, notwithstanding Brexit. There is the list of abbreviations, which I think is very useful, because there are a lot, and then it starts straight ahead of the with the subject matter. Introduction: Assets of Community Value in a nutshell. Birth of Assets of Community Value, Localism Act 2011, clearly setting out the Assets of Community Value scheme is also commonly known as the community right to bid. So it's really looking very much at local assets. This book I think is fascinating. As a counsellor in the past, I certainly would have found this book, I think, of great interest, although I served as a counsellor at a time before the Act came in. But I'm well aware of the large amount of property which of course is in community ownership, if I can put it that way. It's normally local authority, but it is facilities, if you like, which are available for public use, and of course there's money involved. So what do we say about the book? Well, Elizabeth and I talked about it. Elizabeth has written most of the review, but we had a discussion about it, and it's a new book on a new area of law. That's the title of our review, and this is what we say. Assets of Community Value, ACVs, constitute a relatively new and continue developing area of law. Introduced as part of the Localism Act 2011, they are a new invention. And as Simon Adamyk, the author of the book, explains, ACVs have no counterpart in common law, and while their popularity as well as their impact continues to increase, there's been very little literature written about them until now, with the publication of this detailed study which has come to us from Wildy, Simmonds Hill. I'd like to thank them very much for doing this, because I think it's a very important new area for us. This then is the first book to deal in detail with ACVs. So what exactly are they? Broadly, says the author, ACVs are buildings or other land nominated by a voluntary or community body with a local connection and listed by the relevant local authority because their use is considered to further the social well-being or social interest of the local community. Once a building or a parcel of land is listed, a number of protections come into play, with consequences that can be complicated and far-reaching. And it's not hard to predict that practitioners, particularly those advising local authorities, will rejoice at the publication of this book. And some people won't, of course, because they'll have a different agenda. The list of properties listed as ACVs is a lengthy one. There's over 3,000 of them, and they're growing. Currently, pubs lead the list, followed by other such amenities as community centres, libraries, shops, markets and swimming pools. In other words, any asset which, if sold or otherwise disposed of, would be considered a grievous loss to the community. As Harold Macmillan once said in the House of Lords, selling off the family silver, and that of course is something that he held against Mrs. Thatcher for some time. Chapters on the procedures and legal requirements for inclusion in this list have prominence in this book, together with subsequent chapters on enforcement and appeals. It's logically structured and written in plain English. I found it very easy to read. Here is a book that provides both legal and practical advice on every aspect of ACVs, with the benefit of a wealth of references included in the extensive footnoting. There's a minutely detailed table of contents, a sizable index, and numbered paragraphs throughout, which all ensure easier navigation. So for both practitioners and researchers, as well as other interested readers, these features are real-time savers. And also do note the table of cases, statutes, statutory instruments and European material. There are 8 appendices in total at the back, including the relevant sections of the Localism Act 2011. This book, I think, will be of special interest to community groups or amenity societies wishing to list specific properties as assets of community value. Conversely, owners of properties who wish to resist such a listing or their advisors will find the book indispensable. I certainly think local authority elected members, that's councillors, should know about this book and they should read it. It should certainly be available in every local authority. The publication date is cited at 27. Thank you very much, Simon, for this work. There's the front again, side and back. Just opening it in the middle, you can see the structure. You've got paragraph numbering. They're not emboldened, the paragraph numbers, but you can see them there. And you've obviously got a lot of footnoting to justify a lot of the things said. There is a lot of detail. For instance, one thing that's interesting in the middle, community interest group is defined, and it sets out, again, with the footnoting as reference material, it sets out exactly what they are. Now, I think it's important to bear this in mind because of the way society is going. We've also got social well-being or social interests of the local community. Again, as society develops, we're bound to have much more interest in this area. So thank you very much to all concerned for an excellent book. I do hope that this is of some help, because there are always going to be very emotional arguments about what should or should not happen to the disposal of certain properties. I'm well aware of that from my previous life as an elected councillor, and therefore I understand that this book will be some help, I hope, in the future when you're trying to make your decisions as a local authority on what you're going to do. Thank you very much anyway to all concerned on an excellent book. Bye-bye.